What's up, YouTube? I'm Vaughn, and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, combat games from tabletop to video games. And today we are doing our first BanList prediction that we haven't done one in ages. Because to be very honest, if you're a band and you're not really doing any events or even like local events, it's very hard to give like a proper like intake on what should possibly be banned. Because yes, we could just follow the regular like tiers and like meta, sure, why not, and just pretty much copy. But it's like you need like a little bit more experience, and especially for locals, for additional cards that might be hit, just because it might not be a nuisance in higher tier events, but at lower tier events, these cards could definitely be a problem. Okay, so first, before we begin, friendly reminder as always to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel a lot and I do really appreciate it. And also just wanted to mention that this weekend we're doing the Montreal Regionals, which I'm super excited for because I haven't done a regionals in over a year. So definitely looking forward for this event. So starting with the bans now, I honestly think there won't be any cards being banned in the upcoming ban list. I think there's going to be a lot of limits, but I don't really necessarily think that cards are going to be banned because like the few cards that I had like a few like debates with is like yes we have Orion Heart, okay, maybe could be banned, but me personally I don't think so just because majority of the decks can actually potentially out it. They can't really recycle it that much unless if they're putting like additional cards just for this specific purpose. But all in all, like I don't see it actually being hit. I'm seeing other Castillo cards definitely getting hit, but for Orion Heart, I think it's just going to stay at one, and it's not necessarily needed to be banned. And then the next card that I was debating about was definitely Herodic Seal. Now, Herodic Seal will either be put to one or be banned because, yes, I even use it as an extender, but for Dragon Links, they use it as an interruption or even an extender. So putting it either at one or banning it, I could definitely see it doing a little bit of an impact because there's not really much that you could potentially ban for Dragon Links. And then finally, we have the Gimmick Puppet. So it's either ban the Gimmick Puppet or ban the Dragon because people could just switch to the Gimmick Puppet for Raw or even Ibli. But the thing about Raw and Ibli, you still have play. So you could actually potentially out it and then start spell summoning afterwards, which is not an issue. But the Gimmick Puppet, you can't really do it as much, so that's why it's very debatable to see if that card would get hit or not. And if it doesn't, I guess people just have to side accordingly. But we're not really seeing that much branded decks that's actually using the Gimmick Puppet. Now it's been like Chimera branded or other like mix, so it's very rare that you see gimmick locks like now in today's format. Now for the limits. Now the first thing I want to talk about is cards that are potentially going to get off the ban list. Now I think the best choice at the moment were actually to bring back Hardcore. Now I think today's meta is quite diverse, and I think like there's not many decks that could really abuse it. So I think it's a good opportunity to actually start bringing it back right now. Other things that I do think that maybe could be brought back at one is also the rest of the Dragon Rulers, because I really doubt we're going to see Dragon Links really abusing the Dragon Rulers. Like we're going to see like other decks like start playing like maybe the water and the earth, but we're not going to see like any decks abusing all of them. So that's why I feel like it's a very good format to actually bring them back, especially in today's format. Majority of the monsters are light and dark, so I think it would be a perfect time to bring those as well. I do not think Maxi can come back, even at one. Now, the reason why is that for Konami to actually bring Maxi back, they have to butcher all the decks like in today's format. If they do that, then yeah, sure, they could bring it back, but I don't think Maxi is going to come back anytime soon. Now for the limits, the first card off my mind that should be limited to one is Cashier Fenrir. Now this card is starting to be so abused, and even decks that's not even playing like cash, okay, just having it act like almost like a Dino Wrestler is just being ridiculous right now. So that card has to be per at one. And honestly, if it's per at one, it might hurt cash a bit. So it won't really need them to start hitting the Arise Heart. So they could actually per Fenrir at one, and it will actually solve a lot of problems just on its own. Now, another card that I do believe that should be per at one now is Brand Infusion. It's just too strong and it's just so free, and definitely like we see in the Chimera deck, I don't think it should be banned. I think it should be per at one because there is still stuff that could recycle it to get it back, so then you could actually have follow-up play and use it again. But I think at one is just perfect. Now, for another card that I do believe that should be at 1, I was debating. It's actually 2 cards. It was either the Stovey, okay, Labyrinth Stovey, or Big Welcome Labyrinth. But I think bringing Big Welcome Labyrinth at 1 is a bit too harsh. So I think Stovey was the correct choice because everyone kept on saying they should ban epidemic virus, and honestly, I don't think so. I think like banning epidemic virus is like the equivalent of saying that you want to ban Joe or Shifter. And I'm like, epidemic virus is still pretty situational. I know there's that world video that like you have for like against the cash and he has all spells, but it's like, there are other decks that majority, if they don't have the spells, they can still full combo. So it's very situational. So that's why I'm like, I rather hit Stovey or even Big Welcome Labyrinth. Majority of time I would say Stovey just because I think it's going to cut the hurt a lot. So the people that are going to be playing the labyrinths are going to be very experienced players, and it won't be so easily to play. So I think it's definitely going like thin the herd like a lot unless people are going to play labyrinth. Labyrinth is still going to be good with these changes, but now we're going to see a big difference in skill level of seeing who could actually pilot it. So I think that would be very impactful. Now, besides that, for cards to be per at 2, they could potentially were called by the grave at 2. That would not be that extreme. So if they don't hit the gimmick puppets or majority of stuff that I might have mentioned, I think bring Call by the Grave at 2 will actually be really good for today's format. But then again, it would be very contradicting because also those decks that are doing those forms could also per 2 Call by the Grave, and that would be very harmful as well. And that's it for our BanList prediction. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you want a sneak peek of future products we're planning to review here on the channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.